Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching.
We're watching. You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot. I assume Tom.
It is always a pleasure to talk to all three of these gentlemen. I finally get to see Jeff face to face since every interview we've ever done has been over the phone. And this time, Jim can't walk out on me when I tell him how much I love Scrappy Doo, so we're perfect with that. But guys, congratulations.
I want to know what you think about seeing Jeff face to face.
Jeff looks like Triple H from the WWE at this point.
Yeah, without the long hair. I guess.
I get that comparison on almost every interview I go on.
Well, the only thing you're missing is the Iron Maiden jacket at this point.
I guess so.
I'm going for the Undertaker.
Going for the old man look.
Thanks.
Well, gentlemen, congratulations on Crisis on Infinite Earths. Jim, I have to tell you, I love you and hate you at the same time because you actually made me tear up in a cartoon in regards to the romance between Iris and Barry, and that's the only spoiler I'm going to give for that part.
Well, all I'll say, Rob, is I'm just softening you up for part two when there will be just a stream of tears, and part three is like you know the Peanuts cartoon when Sally cries and the tears just go like this. You know that's what we're going for by part three. So brace yourself.
So I'm going to have to be hooked up to an IV bag just so I can get rehydrated by the third one.
You're going to want to hydrate before the movie for sure.
You know, this is a fantastic take. I know, you know, and it's beautiful that you dedicated it to George Perez, who we lost last year, one of the kindest people ever in the comic book industry. So George, we miss you, and you know, I hope his family is grieving well and you know, dealing with all of this. But just Crisis had such an impact on the DCU, going back to the 80s. And what is it like trying to adapt this now? Because there was a previous adaptation or a loose adaptation, Crisis on Two Earths. So like, how do we differentiate between that one and then now coming into this one and trying to stay in continuity with the comic, but making it its own thing on top of that?
Well, I mean, we're following a lot of the, you know, the version of that comic with Marv Wolfman and George Perez. But we're also making it clear that, you know, we have to visualize it for cinematic reasons. So there are, like in most films, you have to kind of bridge one or two characters together as one sometimes, just so, you know, otherwise, you know, you can't, like even Lord of the Rings, there were characters in the books that they had to get rid of, that they couldn't follow their storyline. So we're in the same mode there, where with Crisis, it's, you know, 13 issues, and there was so many characters that had their story arcs, but we had to find a way through. Well, Jim did, to kind of keep these characters in, but now they're kind of built around one or two other characters. So it's basically structuring things to keep things moving, especially for animation and for cinematic reasons. You got to keep the story, you know, going forward. I know, you know, part one doesn't do that. It goes backwards, forwards, sideways, everywhere. But once we're through with that, the Flash storyline, we tend to now follow through the rest of where, you know, the Crisis story goes.
Rob, I'm so glad you brought up Crisis on Two Earths. That's one of Dwayne's stories, and it's so good, and it has that wonderful. It has all the big stories, and it has the small moments too of Batman telling Superman why he can't push the Earth out of its orbit, and those kind of wonderful Dwayne moments. And I hope that, you know, you can't write like him, but that there are moments in this that will alternate between something so vast and so incomprehensible and small human moments that make you relate to the characters and care about them, as you so kindly said you did at the beginning.
And to make somebody cry in a cartoon, I'm a grown man, obviously. To cry at a cartoon based on a book that I read as a child just even adds more to it.
We just need 1 million of you.
But also the trick there is to add a little nice piano movement. That helps. It helps you to cry. By itself, you're like, "Hey, what's going on?" But then the piano going in there, it's perfect.
And Matt Bomer, the Flash, the actors are so strong. They do. I mean, their voice comes through the cartoon and the way the Jeff directed the acting in the character in the visuals. It makes you love these characters so that when sad things happen to them, you're going to be sad. If we didn't achieve that, then we didn't achieve. I mean, just watching planets blow up would go, it would get old very quickly. It's your connection to these characters that make it matter.
And Jeff, you started off, you did Legion of Superheroes previously, you did the Green Lantern movie, Beware My Power. Does that kind of prep you for this large scale multi-character animated feature since you used so many of them beforehand, or it's like it's Crisis, good luck?
Yeah, pretty much. It was a lot. I mean, we all knew we were walking in from Legion into War World, into the first Crisis, that this was going to be a huge challenge. Just from the massive size of it, I think Butch didn't want to do it for a long time because he was looking at how it just was going to be.
Nobody did. That's why I felt good about volunteering.
Well, I mean, War World was our major way. A lot of characters, a lot of different stories. All in one film. That was our real test of how bad this is going to be for us once we got to Crisis, and it didn't make it any easier just because we did War World, because that was a struggle to get a lot of the work done there, from the animators, from the designers, and everything else. It was even the Jeff and the board guys. It's a lot of work. So
I'm so sorry about that.
By the time we got we're still going to be fucked either way.
Yeah.
Those Cowboys come back. The Cowboys
happy to
come
do
back.
it.
We walked in all knowing from those.
Yeah,
and we're like, wow, this is gonna be rough.
It's so easy on the A side to go, what would be fun if we made 4 short movies, a Western, a sword and sorcery movie, and what's the other one? The caveman one. Yeah.
50s sci-fi, black and white.
Oh, and the Twilight Zone one, and it's like, that's easy. It's easy to do on the A side, and then you have these poor animators.
If you're doing an individual episode, it's great, but when you're structuring all that in one movie, which Crisis pretty much is all the way through 3 movies. I mean, the only good thing about Crisis in part 2 and 3, once we get out of this part 1, we are basically living with the main threat that's attacking all the planets, but you still have different locations.
Oh yeah, and tons of people. What I will promise the audience is they won't have to pay attention to the non-narrative time hopping thread, which I think is probably a challenge for some people who don't want to. I mean, half the time people are like folding their laundry while they're watching stuff now, so that you don't want to pay attention to what era we're in. But so for the first movie, put down the laundry, and then
One thing I wanted to ask, before we run out of time, was the plan to make it 3 movies, 4 movies, or was the plan, was there ever an option to turn it into episodic, where everything's broken down 22 minutes over an entire season?
We would have said yes.
22
we would have said yes.
Now, the plan was 5. I wanted 5 movies, but that got shot down pretty quickly. They wanted it, the whole, whatever verse we want to call this, they wanted it from 10 movies. So
and shorts.
So they said 3 movies for Crisis. The home video, which was the department at the time, said they didn't want 5. They figured 3 would be enough. And I think we got it done. I think we got it right with these 3 movies. I think 5 really would have been, by part 3, you would have been, all right, when is this going to fit?
Well, 5 is a series. 5, it's a different creature, and it would have been more like a TV series if it's 5.
Yeah, and then most movie histories, you have everything's a trilogy. So Lord of the Rings, Star Wars original, the Dollars films, 90% of everything in that's done film wise is trilogies. As far
maybe we could have split the part 3 into smaller parts like they did with Harry Potter. You know, part 3, part 1.
Yeah, okay. Harry Potter's what that outlier that did what 10 sequels? I don't know, but
they had a lot of they had a lot of going on there.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, I got the 1-minute warning, so we do have to wrap it up. But remind us of the Blu-ray 4K release date and why we need to check it out either on VOD or get the physical media.
The trailer for part 2 drops tomorrow. The 23rd is when you can see this in physical media, and you're going to want that because there's more of us talking. And I know this short interview hasn't been nearly enough us for you.
So I'm still working on part 3, finishing it up. So we haven't got a finish date as far as release date on that yet.
No.
Well, I could go another 40 minutes, but I know Warner Brothers doesn't want me to. So, gentlemen, thank you so much.
So
for
you
your
know
time
exactly how we feel.
Take care, everyone, and I can't wait to see everybody face to face, in person again, and finally meet Jeff in person.
Amen.
You too, man.
Take care, everyone.
Hopefully Comic-Con will see you.
Bye.